The new year is upon us.
Hello citizens, the title of the video is self-explanatory, so let's not waste any time. These are my quick thoughts on the games I played in January. I literally started 2025 with Outer Wilds by booting the game up just about 5 minutes after the year began. I had been holding on to the idea of playing it whenever I'd become mentally decluttered enough to be able to play it with utmost focus, and figured since there's no telling if that's ever gonna happen, perhaps the optimistic period around the beginning of a new year would just be the best possible time to do it.
You're right. I'll give it a shot!
I had been hearing nothing but turbo ultra high praise for the game for years, yet somehow managed to avoid having the game spoiled for me. So naturally, despite my best efforts to keep them on a leash, my hopes were sky high.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!
But about an hour or so into the game, I started feeling pretty underwhelmed and, dare I say, bored. I was crushed. I felt a sense of disappointment in myself for some reason, as if by not finding the game very interesting, I have betrayed all my favorite gaming video essayists.
Try again.
But I kept trying, and at around my third or fourth attempt, the game finally started clicking with me, and it only kept going up, up and above.
Told you I'd surprise you.
To keep you as unspoiled as I had been for years before playing the game, let me attempt to describe its premise as vaguely as possible while making it sound intriguing enough for you to want to try it. In Outer Wilds, you play as a fledgling astronaut and venture around planets in your solar system to try and understand what happened to a mysterious race of people called the Nomai. Your primary mode of transportation is this trusty little spaceship that looks like it's been put together from scraps of metal, a jetpack, and your own feet. There is no combat, you don't have a gun, your fists can't punch. Although there aren't puzzles in the traditional sense, as can be seen in survival horror games for example, the whole game itself is a giant puzzle that you solve by obtaining information and piecing them together to build a coherent story in your mind.
Now I'm going to be real for a second.
Outer Wilds gave me a profound epiphany about the circle of life. It made me feel a sense of emptiness about life itself, yet implanted in me a genuine eagerness to make the best out of this finite life that is inevitably heading towards the end.
Fancy word for a fancy man.
The year couldn't have started with a better game, and I guarantee that only if you can get past the first hour or so to figure out how the game works and have some patience, Outer Wilds will reward you like no other game has, and by the time you finish it, it will definitely change you. Venba is a short game about an Indian couple, Venba and Pavalan, who immigrate to Canada in the late 80s in hope of a better life.
What the fuck would anyone want with Canada?
The game is divided in two parts, a visual novel and cooking, which is the primary gameplay section.
Cool. What's for dinner?
The colorful artworks with scribbly edges are what do most of the heavy lifting of this cooking section to make it enjoyable, as mechanically this part doesn't pose any challenge. There is a puzzle-like feeling about the cooking at the beginning, but soon you realize that they are not really puzzles. You can't fail, only endlessly retry until inevitably you get the order of the ingredients and other minor instructions right to perfectly execute a recipe.
Are we having fun yet?
It reminded me very much of the Alan Wake 2 board detective sections.
You are a fucking asshole for saying these things.
It's not exactly fun, but towards the end of the game, this seemingly not so exciting gameplay adds a lot to the emotional story the game tries to tell. Being an immigrant in Canada myself, although I'm not from India, the story was pretty relatable for me. Along with the very impressive visuals, what I enjoyed the most is how the writing works really well with the visual novel format, and the cinematography adds an extra layer in making the story successfully touch the emotional chords.
Aw, don't cry, foreign people.
Although there isn't much gameplay here and whatever is there isn't that enjoyable, but the game is worth playing for the story alone that portrays the constant struggles of immigrants to adapt to a new culture while fighting to preserve their own. It is about the uncertainties and worries that moving your life to a new place brings with it, but also about the little things like cooking together that make those worries tolerable. For a game that took just about 2.5 hours to finish, I must say I didn't expect it to touch me as deeply as it did. Please Touch the Artwork 2 is a free sequel to a game that I haven't played. You play as a black and white skeleton and walk among paintings where you meet characters that ask you to find specific objects in surrounding canvases. You then walk around with a sharp eye, find these hidden objects and click on them. Once you've found all the hidden objects, you go back to the character who asked for those in order to open new paths. Along the way, sometimes you need to fix broken parts on some canvases by playing this tic-tac-toe looking band-aid tying puzzle, and gameplay wise that's pretty much it.
What a fucking waste of time that was.
The game successfully utilizes the serious tone of a lot of these paintings to create unexpected moments of humor. Despite being a very casual, free game, it's super polished and you could tell that the developer has put some genuine effort into making the game.
Okay, I see your point, but still.
It's short, sweet, and most importantly free, so it's an easy recommendation.
Please feel free to join along if you wish. Thank you.
Monument Valley is a brilliant looking, colorful puzzler where you solve geometry based puzzles by clicking and making this triple K hat wearing princess walk around and open doors.
I find that offensive.
I was primarily drawn to this game because of its beautiful art style and because it's pretty short. Someone smarter than me should be able to finish it in under 2 hours. There is a story going on, but I'm not a fan of poetic text-based fake storytelling, maybe because most of the time I don't get them at all.
That's because you're a loser.
Honestly, I only played it in short bursts as a time waster, so I guess I could only afford to use my head into solving the puzzles and not trying to grasp the plot. So yeah, I wasn't really paying attention.
What a loser.
But the minimalist art style is gorgeous and the pretty elaborate puzzles are very well done. They're not frustratingly hard, neither are they laughably easy, so for someone who generally gets anxious at puzzles that are too difficult, it was almost perfect for me.
I am a pussy, I admit it.
It's also available on Netflix, I hear, so yeah, pick it up.
Anyone can pick something when they know what it is.
Lamentum is a 2D survival horror set in the late 18th century where you play as Victor, who takes his wife, who is afflicted by an unknown incurable sickness, to the faraway mansion of a mysterious count who is rumored to have knowledge that can potentially save her life.
I'm sorry, you want to be bitten?
Things obviously don't go very well, and Victor embarks on a journey full of exploration, puzzle solving, melee and gun combat, and some pretty unexpectedly dark and shocking turns of events.
A shocking scene.
I've really enjoyed my time with the game, and right now I'm actually making a full video discussing my thoughts on it in details.
Like I give a shit.
If you're watching this video after, I don't know, February maybe, it should be up there on the card and in the description.
No one seems to care.
As a $16 game that plays for about 6 to 8 hours, Lamentum impressed me with its commitment to creating a survival horror quite obviously inspired by classics like Resident Evil and Silent Hill.
Heard that line before.
I really like the choice of period the game takes place in, as I don't recall playing many survival horrors set in this era. It fits very well with the dark tone of the story, and while the game doesn't do anything widely innovative, it does succeed in being a thoroughly enjoyable experience from the safety of treading familiar grounds, which, being the first game of this developer, I find to be a smart decision. Please check out my full video when it's available for more details, but in short, safe to say, if you're a fan of the genre, you'd no doubt enjoy it.
Stop! You're just going around in circles.